Well, guys, how's it going today? So, yeah, it's been just one of those days where you didn't really feel like doing anything at the farm. So I kind of been, I've been dicking around here in the shop a little bit, and yeah, of course it's extremely windy out. That's why I didn't really want to do anything at the farm today. Plus, I knew my grandma wasn't going to go out and do what she normally does on days like this. If it's too windy or too cold or too hot, she don't really go out. And that kind of gives me a chance to get caught up on some other projects that I've been doing. But now they're kind of threatening a little bit of rain here. I don't see anything on the radar, but this is the second time now it's rained on me in the last 2 minutes. So there's something on top of us that's growing, but the radars are not picking it up because I got 2 radars on my phone, 2 different kinds, and none of them are picking it up. So it looks pretty small when you looked up at the sky. So maybe you can hear it pounding on the roof. But oh yeah, those are some big freaking raindrops. It's supposed to get even hotter. They're talking low 90s for the next few days, which isn't too bad, I guess. I mean, all things considered, it is later in the year now, and it should be. I don't know. You can still get some hot days, but not as much. But they're talking a couple days of it yet, so which is fine by me, because we kind of got robbed of our summer because of all the smoke and shit. So this will be kind of change of pace, I guess. I just can't do anything one-handed, but just gonna put that there. So yeah, so I had to call my plumber guy yesterday morning because it had been a week since the other guys were going to come out that I had called also. And so I called them back and I was like, well, it's been so-and-so, it's been like a week and 1 day or something since they last got a hold of me. So they finally came down yesterday. There's the second guys, I think they're brothers or whatever, and they took a look at the pipe, and I don't know, it's all kind of confusing how to really explain it. They said what's broken right now, they said that we should just fix that and then just call it job done. And then he said for something about the rest of the pipe, because obviously there's a dip in it somewhere, because obviously it's freezing, but I don't know, they just didn't seem too interested in digging it up. And they said that the only machine that's available is their big backhoe, and apparently it wouldn't fit in my yard not without taking out one of my trees and then taking out some branches, which I don't care about the branches. The pine tree is questionable if I want it or not. We want it because it gives us some privacy in the house, but I can always plant another pine tree too, so it's not a huge deal. But they basically said just to fix what's broken, what's exposed right now. They said just fix it, and then they really said that I should be calling water and soil, whatever the fuck it is, over there where my bank is at. Supposedly, if you give them your personal information, they can actually tell you if you qualify to basically get a brand new septic tank put in your property for very cheap or for no pay at all, no charge at all. It just depends on how much you're making monthly and yearly. So, but I think I tried that 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere around in there, and they denied me because apparently I guess I made too much or something. I guess you got to be making way less than that before you can qualify for anything helpful. So basically, the only way that this would ever get fixed, it'd be coming out of my pocket, or I'd have to take out some kind of a stupid bank loan or something to pay for that. So, yeah. But it is what it is. The only thing I guess I'm kind of concerned about, if they fix that, that's fine. Obviously, because then I won't have to worry about it leaking into my basement anymore. Or anything else like that, right? So, but it's wherever it goes further down the line is where it's where it's going to freeze, and then I don't know where the water would go, because I think it's whatever water can't go down the pipe, it's obviously going maybe where that pipe is cracked at there by the house. Maybe that's where it's dumping the extra bit of water at. I don't know. You think if it was, to be honest with you, since I'm kind of thinking about it now, you think if it was, since there's a hole there, technically that should be filling up with water, and there's only about 2 inches of water. Like, just the pipe alone is buried underwater. If it was actually, of course, but the ground's not frozen, so I don't know what's going on. So I don't know, but it's all confusing. I don't know what to do, because I'm going to be stressed out no matter what. I'm stressed out because this isn't going to get fixed anytime soon, because now I talked to the plumber guy this morning, and he took off for vacation. He says he ain't coming back until Tuesday, because we got that stupid holiday here in America that we don't fucking need. So that put everybody else, everybody's going to take their freaking vacation, which is understandable, but I just feel like, this hole's been in my ground for a month, and that's not how it should be. It should only be a week or two, and then that's it. So why it's taking me a fucking month to get a pipe fixed, I don't know. But it kind of got delayed a little bit too, because those two guys were supposed to come last week and take a look at that. So, but they said there's no sense of just replacing the pipe, and then you have a tank issue, and then I don't really technically have a leach field. It's somewhat still going into the tank, but it's probably not at full capacity like it once was, obviously, because I filled it with dirt. But I didn't know what else to do, so I don't know. All we can do is just fix this problem, and then just start worrying about it towards the end of the year. Like I said, it normally doesn't freeze. It usually doesn't freeze right away. It's usually more towards the end of winter. So you have like a month or two where it's frozen, and then that's it. But I don't know. I'm going to try something a little bit different this year too. I'm going to try not to snow blow quite as much. Maybe that'll help keep the pipe from freezing so hard. But I don't know. There's only so much I can do. I have to move some snow in order to get back there. That's why I kind of wish I had a walk behind snow blower, maybe like a little 32 inch or even smaller. I plan on getting one, probably most likely a used one. That's just going to be for the sidewalk in the front, but that would be good for back here, because then it's just a small little gap, and then that's it, right? So up to the house, and then from the house to the tank, and then down, so, but I don't know. But he says if it's below the frost line, which is, you got to be at least below 4 feet, and things should not freeze. So, and the pipe does look like it's at least 5 feet down there, so it really shouldn't freeze. So why it's freezing, I don't know. I think it's just because I'm removing the snow, and then the frost and the cold and stuff can get deeper in. But I have to move some snow in order to get in there to do what I gotta do every goddamn week in the winter months. So, I don't know, but now I can't do anything. They want me to dig up a little bit more of that stupid pipe, which I don't even know if I really need to, but they want me to dig up at least another foot. But I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna give them maybe like 4 or 5 inches, and that's good enough. There's plenty of fucking pipe there to do what you gotta do. So, but the guy looked at it, and they go from a 4-inch, I guess if they go from a 4-inch down to a 3-inch, so why they went down 1 inch, I don't know, unless they ran out of the 4-inch stuff, which is kind of ridiculous, but whatever. So, but they have that adapter on there to go from a 3 or from a 4 to a 3. But he says that it looked like the adapter well, it broke. Well, the piece of the pipe is broken, but he says it looks like it's also been pulled out and then broke. So because there's a chunk missing. But he says you can see where it's been cleanly cut off, like it's been through a saw of some kind. You know, so they made it obvious that's a cut. So something, you know, obviously it must have been pulled, or it got pulled out, and then it's just been kind of a nuisance. So, but I don't really know what else you can do besides replace the whole damn thing, but that's not really within budget right now to be doing that. So, I don't know. It'll be questionable, I guess. Like, even if they fix it now, well, then I don't have to worry about it, at least for another couple of months. You know, until the snow starts to fly, because then that's when it's going to, where things can change and pipes can freeze and whatever. Even though they shouldn't freeze being almost 5 feet under the ground, or they technically should be 5 feet under the ground. But, I don't know. But he says that the one guy said that if you put a new system in, they're probably going to want to move it over a little bit. But he says that apparently it has to be on a hill. Why, I have no clue, but it's just, I guess that's code or something around here, that everything has to be on a hill now. Which I don't know. I mean, if it's code, but it's not something I want in my yard, because I got enough of a damn hill, and my yard's already fucked up enough as it is. So, but I mean, if you got to do it, you got to do it, or you can't argue with them about it. So you just got to get it fucking done, and that's really all I care about too, is just getting it fucking done. So, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen, because you're talking to put in a new septic system. Again, I don't know what they really cost. It all depends on the size of the tank, and then you got labor on top of that. I figured at least $40,000, you know, to $50,000. You know, that's what I figured. And he said that it probably would take maximum of probably a day and a half or 2 days to put in the new system, because what they'll do is they'll bury the new tank, and then I think they'll bury the new pipe, and then they'll connect it all, and then they'll rip the old stuff out. I don't know, it's just, the maximum is you'd probably be without a sewer system for a day and a half, something like that. I don't know, which isn't good. I mean, yeah, we can live without not taking a shower for a day and a half, but if you gotta use the toilet, you know, that's kind of a problem. So, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. So it's going to be a while before this gets properly fixed. And the other guys didn't sound too interested in wanting to rip up all the main pipe, and they kind of said it wasn't really worth it, because what's the sense of replacing the pipe when you have other problems too? Like, well, yeah, the main sewer system, like, you know, the one that I clean out all the time, yeah, it freezes, but it's only the top of it. Okay, that's no big deal. At least the water below it's not frozen. It can still go out. You know, it still goes somewhere, because it's beyond the reach of the frost. So, I don't know. But he said that since you have other problems, there's really no sense of even ripping that pipe up just to replace the pipe. You might as well just replace the whole thing, which I do agree with. I would feel a lot more happier just having a whole new system put in, because then I would never have to touch it again a day in my life. But that's not within budget. So, and then he said to go call that company, you know, or whatever, the water and soil, whatever the fuck they're called over here. And he says you could probably get it for very, very cheap or free. He says it all depends on your income and if you have kids or not, which I don't have any kids. He's like, well, that would have helped you a hell of a lot if you had kids. Apparently they figured if you have kids, well, then they're not making as much money. So, which, whatever. But I'm not going to push out a bunch of kids just to get things for free. It's ridiculous. So, but what are you going to do? So, yeah, I don't know. But that's what's going on there, but whatever. So, I guess we'll just he can fix what needs to be fixed for now, and then hopefully that doesn't become a bigger issue later on. I'll probably talk to the plumber guy and see what he thinks. Well, see if he has. I know that they have snakes and stuff to clean out pipes and stuff like that, but I don't know if they have anything to drill out ice through a pipe. I don't really know. They probably do, but I'm not sure. So I would have to ask him, because if that thing freezes, then I think if he has to come and drill it, drill the ice out, get a hole going through it, well, then that should last then the rest of that year, until the ground can start to unthaw again. But I don't know. Things will change. I don't know. I don't know. So all I can do is do the best that I can and try not to move so much snow, and then that's it. I mean, if it freezes, it freezes. There isn't really much more I can do. So, but yeah. So the other thing I did, I think I talked about it quite a few videos back. But here's just a little hint of it. That's plastic, by the way, in case you're wondering. But yeah. So where did this come off of? Well, that come off of Big Red. I redid some wiring, and I talked about this a few months ago. Probably more, I don't know when the hell I last talked about it. But you guys remember the rocker switches that I had up here for Big Red's warning lights? I used to have them, sitting up here. Well, that was it was working, but I didn't know if that was going to be well, for a lot of years I thought that was going to be my only option, because I didn't know what was behind these dash covers. Come to find out, there's not a hell of a lot there besides the dash, or the gauges and the wiring for the gauge, which is just one big massive plug, and then all the other little miscellaneous wires. So, but this is what I did, and this actually turned out fairly well. I don't know how good it'll last, or it's probably not waterproof. I don't know I can't remember if the switches were waterproof or not. I don't remember that now, and I highly doubt that I'm going to find the guy that sold them on eBay, because that was many years ago, and who knows if he's even still out there. So, but they are permanently attached into the dash now. Okay. I can hear thunder. So yeah, and they work. They're fully functional. The problem is I don't know. I mean, I'll know by memory once I get used to them. But I used to have these labeled. One was front and one was rear. But I took them away because that wasn't going to be an option anymore. But I still have the option of running to the hardware and getting really tiny letters and putting the letters either on the switches themselves or up on above it or below it or whatever. I don't know if I'll even do it, but yeah. So let me flip this camera around. I'll give you guys a little bit of a better view at least. Okay, so we're sitting on Big Red now. Yeah, and they're in there pretty good too. They're not, you'd have to really work to get them out. So, bouncing around with this machine, they're not going to pop out. This one seems to be kind of almost delayed a little bit, but I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's just the switches. But, the factory, you got to flip them around to see the underside of them. But there is factory notches here. Because on the older, the 550s, it was either right here or it was here. But they had diff lock. You could turn that on or off. So instead of being two-wheel drive, you could be one-wheel drive. On Big Red, that's not an option. You're stuck with two-wheel drive. I wish they would have had diff lock on these machines. But I don't know. I just think, it's cleaner. And all the wiring mess is behind it. All the wires that's exposed right now is my my coax for this future CB radio, which I'm probably just going to get a mini CB or something. I don't really know, but yeah, because I took this off before to replace the light bulb inside, and I looked up inside and I was like, man, this is all just an empty cavity here. It's like there's nothing even going there. There's one wire plug right here, inside, and that clock is off, so don't go by that, but there's just one plug right there, and that's it, and that's just to make this come on. So, but yeah, I don't know, I thought that looks pretty good, but unfortunately even the factory size, I don't know how small their switches are. I thought their switches were about the same as this, but they're not. I don't know, there must be some mini switches or something, but I punched out cut out the factory notch, and then I actually had to make the notches 10 times larger. Of course, it's not the cleanest job in the world because I had to switch over. Well, it doesn't look too bad, I guess, on this side, but it I had to take my Dremel tool to it and you know, make it wider, but you don't want to go too wide because then the switches there won't be a snug fit, and that's what you want. You want a snug fit. So when I knew that I was getting close to the back side of the switch's size, then that's when I really started taking like little baby bites out of it, just real fine layers at a time, because you can't put that stuff back on once you take it off. So it's really only like a one-time deal. You frick it up, then you're done. So I really had to take my time. This was the first one I did, and I think this one turned out a little bit better than this one. I think I got a little too cocky with that one because the switch is not, more of the switch is exposed here. And yeah, I probably could put some clear caulking around that or something, you know, to waterproof that, but then you can't really remove the switches. You would have to break the caulking, and it's just another thing to do. So I think what I'll do is I'll just either I could risk it and just see what happens, but I'm pretty sure they are waterproof switches, but they're not really going to be waterproof if they're open down here at the bottom, but nothing I really do about that. So everything else is waterproof inside the machine, so that's nothing I'm worried about. But I could just put some tape on there, you know, and then whatever, and just be done with it. But I don't know, you tell me. But you know what? That's the front one, and then this is your rear one. Maybe you can see it. Maybe you can see it flashing. I don't know, but yeah, they are hardwired to be on even when the machine's off. So that's the way I wanted it. So the switches are hot all the time. It's just they're not going to send power to the lights unless I actually flip the switches on. And of course, these switches have a little light inside of them to tell you that, you know, hey, you're sending power to whatever device you got hooked to that, so, or tool, whatever. But yeah, I wish I would have done this years ago. Yeah, I think it was last year. Wasn't it last year when I changed out it had to have been last year when I swapped out the factory light bulbs with LEDs. And that's when I realized this was all empty, basically. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's not 100% great, but this switch actually is a little more straighter than this one. That's just how it happened when I was, when I was grinding away at it. This one ended up more straight. This one ended up more on a funny angle, but I don't know. It ain't gonna bother me none. I guess if it was more, yeah, you can see that, yeah, but I mean, whatever. That little bit ain't gonna matter. I'm not gonna order a whole new thing like this to just redo it all again. It's just like, you know what, it's good enough. The main question now is how the wiring is gonna hold up to steering. There is plenty of wire in there to allow flex, you know, but I don't know if there's going to be there should be plenty of it, but I don't know if there's still going to be any pulling on the wires or not. I'll never know until I no longer get power going to the switches. Then I'll know it's a wiring issue or something. Once I got done hooking all this up, I didn't have power on this switch for some reason. I just didn't have power. I couldn't turn the light on, so I flipped the power wires, and it worked. I was like, well, how the hell did I, mix the wires? Because I had the wires redneck marked, so I knew, like, because you have two powers and two negatives, and the power is on this side of the switch, and then your ground is on this side. So, but I guess the bottom wire was on the top when it should have been on the bottom, because it's a 4-terminal wire connecting thing, right? So I don't know, it was just strange because I had it marked, unless I goofed up at some point, but I could have swore that I marked them good enough so I wouldn't get them mixed up. But I thought at first, okay, maybe I missed the wire, because I always miss wires when I'm unhooking the battery, you know. I always miss a wire, and you're hooking stuff back up, and, you know, I just naturally miss a wire or two. This time I didn't, so I was like, well, why isn't my switch working? I'm not getting any power here at all. So I just flipped the power wires backwards, and then it was working fine. So this one, it was first try, and I had it. So yeah, so this is your front one, which is for the front rack, and then this one's for the rear light on the rear. But that's the way I wanted it, because actually originally, not that it really matters, I mean, they're both the same, but this switch was actually for the front, and then this was for the rear. But the way I had because I took one of them apart, and I didn't want to make a big, huge mess of wiring, so I tried to eliminate as much loose wiring as possible. So I tried to just only take wires off of this switch, because I needed one of these anyway for a template, because I didn't have a spare. So I just did, just took those wires off, left them laying in here, marked the one set so I knew it was one for whatever, you know, power for the switch or power coming from the battery. But I had marked it for power going to the lights. And then for the wiring for this switch, I laid it over here. Again, marked one set of wires for whatever, and didn't mark the other set. So that was my way of marking it, so I knew what was what. But I guess, like I said, for that one, I fucked up, and I didn't get it. So I just had to flip the power wires, and perfectly fine ever since. But there should be plenty of wire in there. You know, if you had to take this back off again, you should be able to move that plenty out of the way. And you can disconnect the wires if you have to. I left that all exposed because I figured if this machine should ever have to go in for service and they want to get in here, I mean, they'll have to mark the wiring so they know where it goes, but you know, they can just pull it out and be done. It's not, yeah, so I don't know if water would even get in there, but you never know. Water seems to get everywhere nowadays. So I always did that, I guess. But yeah, so that's what I did. I finally mounted them. Or I guess, I mean, I don't know. I was talking about that last year. These were all open cavities, and I was like, I could probably put my switches there. And sure as shit, I can, and I did. So now there's not so much of a damn mess up here. You get that out of the way, well, then you got nothing. But that's for the CB, obviously. So whenever I get one. And then the power wires, well, I'll run them down in there and run them straight to the battery or whatever. So, but yeah, so there you go, guys. You guys have to just kind of tell me what you think. I think it looks decent. It's better than what it was, having all that. And another thing too I didn't like is that they always fell all the time. They would always slide out, you know, and they fall down. I'm afraid it might break the wires or something, because I don't know what it'll be like down in here. Like I said, there should be plenty of wire there, so if it has to flex, it can. Or if it has to pull on some of the wire, it can a little bit. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it on that. So yeah, you guys can just, I guess, tell me what you think. It's obviously not done professionally, but nothing's done professionally over here. It's just done. So, but hopefully I won't have too many wiring issues along the way, but I'm sure I will. So, but yeah, it took me probably, I was taking my time with it, so 2 hours. I know that probably seems like a long time, especially for two lights, but the bulk of the time was grinding out the holes. And then I had to try to start making the holes more, you know, square, so they didn't look so damn wonky, you know. And then I just started taking slow bites at a time, just so I wouldn't take too much of that plastic off. Because if you take too much off, then your switch is loose, you know, and you want it snug, so you don't have to worry about it ever falling out or anything stupid like that, or bouncing around. It ain't gonna do any bouncing around in there. It's perfectly tight. So, but yeah, that's another project I wanted to get done. I've been thinking about it for quite a long time, and just didn't know if I was ever going to do it. And now I did it, and cross it off my list. But I mean, it ain't 100% perfect, but I mean, it'll do. So I suppose as long as water don't get in it, it should be okay. But I guess if water gets in it, well, you just let it dry out, I guess, or have to change how it's done. But I'm pretty sure that those switches are supposed to be waterproof, but I don't remember, because I bought those switches years ago, and they don't even make these style lights anymore. These are the Speedtech lights. I think these are the old Scepter 2s, which they don't make them anymore. Not this style anyway. They changed it up now. So these are actually not even supposed to be exposed to the weather. They're supposed to be inside of a vehicle. But usually what I do, I gotta clean these things up too, but what I always did was in the winter months, I would put clear plastic on these to keep them, you know, to keep water from getting in. And that worked pretty good. For the most part, it did pretty good. And that would just stay on all winter long, because like I said, I used to use this thing for plowing snow. So, and then obviously if I would wash the machine, well, then I would just throw like a grocery bag or something on it, and that was waterproof enough for it too. So, unfortunately, if it rains, you know, if you get caught in the rain, well, then you're kind of screwed. But I try to avoid rain as best I can, but can't always avoid it. So I suppose you probably could somehow waterproof these a little bit more, like if you put caulking on all the ends or whatever. But if you ever need, I guess if the light should ever need to be serviced or something, well then, you know, it's all caulked up and then they got to rip to the caulking. So I guess you win some, you lose some, I guess, whatever. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That's just another project I wanted to get done, and it's done. So, looks pretty good, and cleans up the look of the four-wheeler at least a little bit too. You don't have so much damn, so much damn wiring everywhere. So, looks good to me. So, yeah, anyways, guys, I guess I'm going to take off. So I guess have a good day and stuff. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Take her easy.